All right, let's finally dive into how we can extract a data frame from our pandas panel object, and as you'll see, it'll be a pretty familiar syntax. Let's begin by executing our code to load our panel into P. And let's begin with a quick review of bracket notation. The easiest way that you can always think of bracket notation is that whenever you use it on an object, it's always used to extract the next smallest object. So for example, in a series, we used brackets to extract a specific value. In a pandas data frame, which is a two-dimensional object, a bracket would extract a specific column, which is a series, which is a one-dimensional object. So from a data frame, we're going from a two-dimensional object to a series, which is a one-dimensional object. And similarly, the bracket notation is used on a panel to select the next smallest object in line, which is a data frame. So with the panel, the bracket notation is what we need to do to extract any one of our data frames. And predictably, the value that we're going to have to feed it is going to be one of the values from our items axis. So let's actually begin this lesson by using our items attribute just to get a list of the 5 options that are available to us. So these are our 5 stock pieces that were pulled from Google Finance. And now all we need to do is reference our panel with P. Just like with the series or the data frame, we're going to put our brackets in here, and in double quotes we're going to put the name that we want to pull out, the name of the data frame, or in this case the item that we want to pull out. So it can be any one of these 5 values. So for example, if I write an open in here, that's specifying a value for the items axis, and it's going to pull out that specific data frame. Just like we stated up here, the major axis is going to be the dates, that's the rows right here, and the minor axis is going to be the 5 companies. So here we see Apple represented all the way through Yahoo, and here we have the stock price, the opening stock price to clarify, for those 5 companies in this data frame. Predictably, we can do something different. If we want to pull the volume, for example, we can do volume. And there we have the volume data frame. Once again, you can see the major axis, which is the rows, and the minor axis, which is the columns, stay consistent. What is changing is the data frame that we're pulling out of our panel, and the way we change that is just by specifying a different argument within those double quotes in the square brackets following our P panel object. And keep in mind, this is returning a brand new data frame to us. So this is rather a brand new object. So we can use all of our familiar data frame methods on this. And this is a valid data frame, so every other method, applies. So if we want to do something simple like head, that's going to work because it's just a data frame. And furthermore, we can extract something like a series from this data frame and then continue calling series methods on top of that, because it's just a separate object, and everything that a series or a data frame can do, this can do, because it is one of those two things. So in addition, there is an alternate syntax, much like there is for extracting a series from a data frame, and that's simply using dot notation. Now I wanted to show it to you just to demonstrate that it is available. So for example, instead of this syntax, which is this square bracket syntax, I can do P dot volume, and that's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to pull out that specific data frame. And just like I explained when I introduced the syntax for data frames, the reason I don't like this is because it breaks as soon as there are spaces within the column headers. In this case, we have luckily just the company stock names, so there are no spaces. But if you ever get a data frame where there are, this syntax will cease to work. So the reason I like the square bracket syntax, even though it is a little bit longer, is simply the fact that it's going to work 100% of the time. But anyway, these two basically do the same thing. They reference a item from the items axis, and that's the data frame that they pull out from our P panel object. So that's how you use bracket notation to extract one of the data frames from our larger panel object.